Did Mark tell you? Call me Mark. Did Mark tell you he was sending? Mark didn't tell me. Mark said, can you be there at 3:30? I can't.
Very nice. It was cool on his way.
He gave me the jig.
He told me he would
He
do
gave me
it.
the jig.
Hi, I'd like to welcome everyone today. We're here for a bond implementation oversight committee meeting. It's June the 11th, 2026 at 3:35 p.m. Samantha, would you like to? Yeah. First call the order, please.
Board Member King,
Here.
Vice President Spray. Here. Dr. Layton,
Here.
Alipio Mondragon, Angela, Emmy, Fred, Marcos,
Here.
Dr. Martins, Mrs. Mondragon. Here. Mr. Henry.
Here.
Linda.
Here.
Marisol. Mr. Mapes. And I believe we have waiting for our students.
Just Cherokee,
Yes.
we have Nick King who's waiting to be ready.
On
from
Zoom?
Stifel.
Okay. We can, Maria, are you able to let him in? Mr. Kane?
Nick King.
Yes. Three.
As most of you guys, in regards to directors and attend the board meeting, press the button. Mr. Henry and, Olympia knows too.
It's only green.
Yeah. So when you speak, so we have it on audio, guys.
It's not already. It should be spread out.
Mark today. And Mark. Yes.
Changed.
No, I haven't. I didn't eat my hat. I'm not on my ponytail.
There we go.
Agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's continue here. Approval of the meeting agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you can, call the roll.
Vice Chair Spray? Chair
Yeah.
King, sorry. Do
Yes.
I have to call everyone for this one?
Typically is yes.
Alipio? Angela? Here. Emmy? Yes. Brad? Marcos?
Yes.
Dr. Martin? Mrs. Mondragon? Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Linda? Marisol? And Mr. Mapes.
Yep.
Okay, it's come to my attention by Vice President Spray that we need to formally vote on the chair. So if you want to make a motion, please.
Well, I'm just going by what Mark asked me to do in his absence. I think that we should add that to the agenda is what we should
We'll
do.
make that as item
Amendment.
of 3A, and that'll be that item.
Selection of board chair.
Yes.
And what I will say is, President Flores did ask, he did recommend, Chair, Member King to be the chair. He sent that through text earlier today. Make a note of that piece.
Okay, where are you going to put that on the agenda?
Well, if we're going to follow the Robert's Rule of Order, technically we can't put it on the agenda because we posted it, but it's a committee. It's not necessarily,
Right.
doesn't have to necessarily follow OMA. So if y'all want, we can go right ahead and vote on that piece
Okay.
already.
Okay.
Other business.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other option is to put it on the agenda at the next meeting, however y'all want to do it. I'm just here to.
He's marked today, right?
Okay, so
If we're going to do it today, we should add it to the agenda.
we're gonna, we need added as an item number, so let's make it 3A.
Since it's just a committee according to. They're like-
No, it's not according, it is.
Yeah, right.
It is a committee.
No, I know it is.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda, the meeting agenda to include as item 3A, the selection of a chair of this committee. Could someone second it?
Approved, second.
Okay, we had Mr. David Henry. He seconded. Motion was made by Vice President Ms. Cindy Spray.
You don't, Member King, if I may, or Chair, or Member King, if I may, since it's a committee, y'all can, if we want, we can do the all in favor. Aye and.
That
all
says a
opposed.
consensus. Yes,
Yeah.
let's do that. It'll be a lot quicker, guys.
Well, we can, yeah, that's still
Okay.
doing it.
So let's do a showing of hands. All in favor?
Okay.
And any nays? Okay, motion's carried. Appreciate it. So approval of minutes. Have everyone had a chance to look over the minutes?
I think now, do we vote, do we do the selection of the chair at this point, or?
We have, we just
We
did it.
just did it. That's why you raised your hand.
We just voted to, right. And nobody has made a motion for Member King to be the chair yet.
You want me to do that
Yeah.
too? I'll make a motion that Board Member King become the chair of this committee, which is the bond committee. Is that what it's called? Bond Implementation and Oversight Committee.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Marcos Herrera. All in favor? Hands?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion carries. We appreciate it. Okay, the next item is the approval of the minutes on May 1st, 2025. Hope everyone had a chance to review them. I just want to compliment Samantha Gonzalez. It's a great job, very detailed. It flowed, brought all the that meeting back very clearly. Anyone see revisions? Have you had a chance to look at it?
I have no revisions.
Okay. So a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting May 1st, first meeting.
Motion
Okay,
to approve the minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor? Right hand aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. So representatives, yeah, that's maybe that's something that
One of mine is working and the other one didn't.
so maybe that's something to think about, expanding our student base. I'll let Ms. Amy and Ms. Linda, you guys can think about maybe expanding that versus having 3, maybe 5, so we can have those students in and see if they are able to commit. You know, I know they have jobs and commitment summers. That's the situation there.
Can engage Sandy, True Kids One, and we'll do
Yeah, we,
We
it,
can,
Well, I
can
would
get
like to leave it back to the
representation.
principals to select their students.
yeah.
we can find. So we're saying 3 to 5 students?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have, I would say even 6. So if the students can't make it, then we've got a representation. Yeah, just to be safe, you know, I know, the students are very active. Okay. So, new business, bond sales update. I said with Stifle, is Mr. Nick, are you there, Mr. Kane?
Good afternoon, Member King. Yes, I'm here.
All right. So if you, you can have the floor. This is Nick Kane. He's our bond representative from, I said, from Stifel.
Thank you. Yeah, so we reported to the board at the meeting a couple weeks ago about the bond sale. The first phase of the general obligation bond sale is now complete. The district has $5.5 million set aside for projects. Majority of it, I believe, was set aside for the new middle school project. And then there was also money that the bond committee had originally talked about using for other projects. The Public School Capital Outlay Council did meet today and have changed their award process for school construction, I'll call it. So it's now a 3-phase approach. Right now, they've approved the district for planning and assessment. After that's done, the district will need to go back for design approval, and then you'll have to go back a third time for construction approval. They did add the third step, I believe, is a way to just slow down and control some of the spending because they were worried about bids they had seen from other districts, not necessarily Taos. So it's not a change that's specific to you all, but it is an extra requirement now that's involved in the process. So I think that does give the bond committee a chance to explore some of those other projects beyond just the new middle school, potentially for phase 1.
Does that mean that the decision has been made to build a new middle school?
What was your answer?
That is a priority for the middle school.
Well, the middle school is a priority, but to rebuild or build?
Build.
Yeah, that was, Mr. Mapes, that was part of our bond language in the GO bond. I said the general obligations. And maybe we should have that, we can hand that out again. So.
And
once
I
we have-
guess upgrading versus a rebuild will be determined during that planning and assessment phase, depending on what the total cost is to renovate the existing facility. If it's about, I guess if it's 50% of what it would cost to replace it, then the state's not going to give you much of a choice. They are going to require you to rebuild completely from scratch, but I don't think that decision has necessarily been made. I just think the middle school being a priority was what I was told, at least. So apologize if I spoke out of turn.
But I want to emphasize though that what we sold to the public
Right.
was a brand new middle school. It wasn't an upgrade. And I'd be very cautious to reverse course after we sold it to the public that this is a new middle school.
But if the state says that we can rehab this middle school, doesn't that compromise everything?
It's an option, but I would want to move away from that option only because
Mhm.
now what we told the public is wrong. In other words, we sold this bond as we were rebuilding a brand new middle school. If we don't do that, then we're breaking what we told our constituents.
And if the state says we're not going to pay for it, but go ahead but we'll rehab if it doesn't fall under the state's criteria, what happens then?
Well, let me ask this, Nick, does the state get to dictate whether we do a new or redo the other one? I don't think so, but
At some point, they do get a strong say in it, depending on what that renovation cost is for the facility. Dr. Layton's point of trying to keep that commitment to the voters is good, or a very valid point, especially if you guys have other projects that are beyond the middle school. But I don't think that decision has been made as far as what the state wants to do for replacement or renovation. It would be a good opportunity, I would say, for the committee to think longer term. If you can replace some of these older facilities and get a new one that's going to last you 50 years, that could benefit the community. But if there's aspects of the current facility that are not as aged, then I think it might be worth looking to keep some of those too.
We're also talking about the bond money versus the PSCOC's match. So just
Right.
so we're clear that we're not talking about the 50 million that the bond already was given to us for the list and the priorities here. We're talking about the match money that PSCOC is willing to give us. That's what they will partner with us on. So not necessarily telling us build or don't build a new school. It's what they're willing to fund us on top of.
Right.
So making sure we all see that they're two different
Thank
pots
you.
of money.
Yeah, that
Right.
was a
The
good point of
bond money
clarification.
comes from what we asked the community to pay for, which is a brand new middle school, and then whatever we have left over. However, the match comes from a different pot of money, and that's what the superintendent presented to the PSCOs.
And the public too, because that's basically, if we're going to build a new middle school, then the match comes along from the state.
The match only comes
From the state.
for the middle school. So
Right,
let's be clear on that as well. The
Right.
match from the PSCOC is not for any of the items we see here other than the middle school.
Right.
That was clear to us when we did the presentation for it. And the reason being is because our middle school was so far down on the list, 11th on the list for a renewal. So that's why the whole match funds actually only comes for renewal of Taos Middle School. That part of the funding would not be spent on anything else.
Right, right.
And wouldn't the ranking of the whole ranking for a new school, that's the whole point of that matching funds? Because I think I'm confused or caught a little off guard about the rebuild versus a
Yes.
new school.
No,
So,
it's a new
think-
school.
Mhm. Well, and that's where I thought this whole time was talking about a new school, but I thank you for the clarification about the PCEOC match and that being, and have we been approved on that? For that,
That's what
it's-
Dr.
that's
Layton
what
did.
Nick,
That's what Nick.
Yeah.
we just,
So it's,
we
It's-
just got approved at whatever time in the morning this was for matching, not for matching, for the planning and what was it again, Nick?
Yeah, repeat that.
Planning and assessment has been approved for the middle school project.
So I have a question, kind of a point of clarification. So if we ask the voters for 50 million for a new middle school and we were expecting 37 million on top of that, is that right?
27.
27 million on top? So you would take 50 and subtract the 27. Wait, I'm not done. In terms of how much money we would have left for these other projects, I'm trying to identify that amount.
they would be adding 27 million if they approve a new bill.
Okay. So their money doesn't necessarily have to go to the middle school. It's just part of the whole package.
No, it does. It's specific.
The only reason we're getting the matching funds is because of the middle school.
Right, so essentially, there will be part of the public's money that goes to the balance that's on, that we're picking.
For the
That's
other
what I'm asking.
purpose.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
We gotta figure out what the new school's gonna cost us.
Mhm.
Then I don't think we need to be spending too much money out of that till we know what that's gonna cost us, plus the state's portion. So we gotta figure out that portion first before.
In other words, because of cost analysis, it could wind up being that the school costs 75 million. I mean, I'm just throwing a number, I don't know for sure. But it costs 75 million, that means there's 2 million left for everything
Everything
else.
else for
But
this
the
list.
75 would be the 27 plus whatever part of the 50, I think, which goes back to your subtraction piece. So
then we can't really do too much on 5.3 today, can we, on the agenda?
you actually, we can, because that's part of the discussion about the middle, and then see what would be coming after that. And,
Okay.
and to be
But we
clear,
don't know how much money we'll have to
we
spend.
actually sold the partial of the bond already. And so, Nick, if you can chime in on this one, if I'm not mistaken, it's a good thing to start on some of the smaller projects, which is the fire panels, the intercom systems, so that the PSCOC shows that we're moving forward, correct?
Yes, I think that's fair to start on some of those projects, especially because the state's broken out the project phasing into three parts. You're not going to use $5 million on planning and assessments, hopefully. And then you'll be able to sell the next phase of the bonds, as early as in 6 months, but probably in 8 or 9 months, around the springtime next year. So you will have a significant portion of the money that can go towards design and construction when that's ready. And then we know the state's portion is not necessarily going to change because you're not applying for a waiver. So I think your local match is 63% for the district, 37% responsibility for the state. So whatever bills start to come in or whatever estimates that the committee gets, even though you haven't had formal approval for construction, we can use that as a rough estimate to figure out that, okay, the state is going to pay for 20 or $30 million of this project based off of that local match. Again, because you're not applying for a waiver, that local match is statutorily approved and should not be an issue, even though you have to go back for multiple approvals.
And so, thank you for that, Nick. And for point of clarity, so 5.3, and every committee member should have this list that we sent to the voters. It didn't just list one thing at each school site. There's several. And so when we look at the priority list, as a committee, you want to start to say, okay, out of the 5 million that we finally did vote approval for, and I mean, the bond sale, where do we want to prioritize that with the priority list? And so that's why we have 5.3, because there's a laundry list of different things that we can start with that 5 million.
Okay, I have one last question for just procedural, or actually clarification question. And that is, will there be another committee that started for the middle school project?
This is the committee for everything.
This is the one that's going to be the middle school project.
Middle school.
Got it.
Anything associated with bond.
Got it. Thank you.
So Nick, are you able to repeat, I said the 3 phases, and this is from, this is coming from.
This is coming
PSO.
from, PSFA and the Public School Capital Outlay Council. They had been operating with the 2-phase approach where it was planning and design and then construction. It is now being broken out to planning and assessment, and then you'll have a design phase, and third will be a construction phase approval. So you're, in simple English, not going to get approved for construction approval this year, or at least not in 2026, based off the way that council meets and how long it's going to take you all to get planning and design. That'll take at least 6 months. And then I think when we put together some of those initial documents before the election in October, we had talked about possibly $5 million, I think, being set aside for other projects. Obviously, a lot of it does depend on what that middle school cost comes in at. But there is some room to get started on these other projects this summer, like Dr. Layton said.
I have a question, and it's more so, I think, when we're looking at how we can look at spending moving forward. Is there a way to see a school comparable in size that has been built recently to get a dollar amount tied to it, even if it's an estimate to say, okay, we're looking at $60 million, I'm sorry. And then also with this list here, because to me, I could see what priority is, but the cost associated to it, and I think we have professionals in here that could say, oh, yes, Stokel can be a priority 5, but these ones right here are probably going to cost in the, hundreds of thousands. Because then I think it makes it a lot easier to know what we could potentially spend, ensuring that the community's funds and buy-in and vote for this meets the needs of that middle school. And that way we can almost continue planning, because it feels like we're at a standstill, not knowing for sure, well, how much is a school going to cost potentially? And then how much is this going to cost?
That's
We do have the ability to get cost estimates for other schools that have been approved recently. When Dr. Layton was putting his presentation together, we did look at some comparables and used between $600 and $800 a square foot. Realistically, you guys are probably in the $600 to $700 a square foot range. That does not include any of the soft costs or hidden expenses that might come up when they actually look at plumbing underground. And then the school itself is approved by the state for a certain square footage. That amount is determined by enrollment, and the school should build the maximum allowable that the state will fund. That's what all the other districts do, and will give you the space that you need for extracurriculars or co-curriculars. I think it's 104,000 square feet for Taos that it's approved for right now. And so it is a relatively expensive building when you take 104,000 square feet by $600 or $700.
4,000?
Yeah,
Well,
104.
Nick, if I may, so one of the things we learned, and this may be, I know that the 3-phase actually came in this year, Nick. Even while we were there, it was in discussion with their chair and their body. Because the prices given by, and most of them were northern districts. We're talking Cuesta, Mesa Vista, Peñasco. These are our neighbors, so it's not like it was far-fetched around the state. The pricing that everyone was giving the PSCOC committee, they were kind of all over the place. Nobody had an actual accurate price per square foot, which makes sense because fluctuation in prices and construction could vary depending on what you have available in your community. So to get an actual estimate at the time, even what we had would have probably been at the $800 a square foot, right, Fred? But that could actually be less, but it could also be more. So I think we're going to need more information, not just from districts who, I'll give you an example. Peñasco's already in a different phase from us with their project. They haven't even broke ground yet. So Peñasco's in the planning stage still. They have not broke ground. So their pricing, if they locked it in 2 years ago when they started, would not be the same pricing that we're going to have going into the next 2 years. Mr. David Henry's an architect. He understands that pretty well, that pricing on projects is going to change from the design to the actual build over time, and the estimation is going to definitely be a different cost. So I'm reading here on the phases. So Nick, we're going to have to do phase 2, or we've already done phase 2. We haven't, right? So according to phase 2, it's saying that we're going to have a plan. Are we talking about an architectural plan and design before they'll continue with the, so that would come from our bond money?
You will use a portion of your bond money for the planning and assessment phase. You'll be responsible for the district's local share, which I think is 63% of the planning and design. PSFA estimated what they think it's going to cost, and I believe they had your share at like $100,000. I don't know how accurate that is. It seems a little low based off of some of the other projects we've seen. And then, like the committee's already brought up, there's the likelihood that it'll be a new school building, but you can also look into keeping certain structures. So a lot is going to go into the planning and assessment phase, which will take some time and money.
So it sounds to me, though, that this committee would have to put into place already which I'm assuming would go through the board after, to 1, decide whether we're doing a design build, 2, decide a location, we decide whether or not we're going to go with an architectural firm, or if we're going with the design build. So it sounds to me like there's a whole lot of process that this committee's still gonna have before we even get to getting to see if we're gonna get to phase 2.
Yeah.
So am I correct in that?
Yeah, we've got a,
What is the cost of each of these on the priority? Because that's gonna help us get to that 5.3. Start spending the money,
Mr. Henry,
which is,
if you mind, can you press the green button so that way we can get make sure the public gets to hear it?
so going back to what Emmy had said and for myself is looking at the priorities, do we know what the cost is for each of these? So we can start looking at how close we can get to that 5 million or what we should start spending on. I think that's gonna help us to prioritize where we can start at.
If we can even look at rough estimates, I mean, it's very clear. I can look at a school like Ranchos and say, or, you know, maybe Fred might be able to say, oh, the cafeteria renovations would cost this because they're in the
Right
building.
now, just for the VOAG, just for that one room that we have kind of closed
The
down.
high school, yeah.
Turned it into like a storage, just for that room right now, to renovate that, redo the whole thing, get it cleaned up, just for that room, we're looking at $600,000 to $800,000. Just for that room. That doesn't include the whole building.
And does that, how's the roof on that building?
The
Crappy.
roof will need to be addressed. Roofing itself will need to be addressed, but this is going in, cleaning all the asbestos, if there's asbestos, redoing the roof, putting new, looking at the electrical, putting a new HVAC system in that, to cover just that one room, repainting the walls, rebringing the water sources that are there up to par. So it's a big thing, and that's just for that one classroom. That's not the whole building. So
So then when we're looking at HVAC here for high school, was it for the VOTEC building? Is it for the entire high school? What is the HVAC?
Probably
for?
more for the cafeteria area.
Mhm.
And what's the cost for that?
One of the other things that's not on here. This
the updated VOAG, this is just for one room.
Got it.
In
It's
the
just
case
that
fire,
one.
the whole page.
So then what was Alip? That's what that is. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Isn't it nice to be small?
So knowledge, it's just.
Been here a long time,
You
huh?
probably have a little more.
A little over a mil.
Do you like old Indians?
So, Nick.
Maybe, I don't know.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have a suggestion.
okay, all right, everyone. Okay, Mr. Maps.
But
Mr. Mapes.
I look at this list and the thing that really glares out at me right off the bat, VOTEC building that, is to me is really important and getting a roof on it. But what's as important or more important is anything to do with life safety. Like alarm systems, fire panels, visitor pedestrian safety. And then to me, the next thing is ADA compliance, and on up, you can prioritize it like that. But if I'm looking at this list and looking at from a liability issue at minimum, I see life safety number one. without a doubt.
Fire panels, like fire
Yeah,
panels.
like, let's not mess around and approve that immediately to get that done.
This makes an excellent point. Actually, the one that the district came up with, because I know you guys came up with the school versions of it, but the ones we came up with are actually the ones you just mentioned.
Yeah.
These are the ones that we felt and Palms and Associates felt were the highest priority for the district, are actually these bottom ones that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And those would be all the safety concerns for
So
the district.
going back to the cost, if Olivia was saying that it's gonna be over $1 million for the
Just for
fire
fire
panels.
Is
And then
that
for
both?
80 clients.
For both.
Both?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the other thing, the next thing is what can be done to preserve infrastructure that's really important to us. And that's where I come up with, doing the roofs for buildings that are in danger of deteriorating further. And that, to me, also would be a priority.
Well, we have had a roof assessment done, have a list of coverage.
Okay, cool.
So-
there, and then another thing, not all the monies that are being used, like, we'll have money freed up in other areas within the district other than bond money. And because of the bond money and being able, so we'll have.
SB 9, HB
Yes,
33.
that are freed up. Some of the little, correct?
SB 9. Gonna cover anything on this list?
It's possible.
To me, a lot of this looks like some SB 9 funds. You could take things off this list, boil it down to just bond priority. If you know you can do something with SB 9, take it off the list, make a separate list.
And I want to
SB 9 is kind of maintenance funds.
kind of pick, yes, and I want to
You could
compete
re-roof with SB 9.
easily.
Okay, cool.
It's a good, really good point, David.
We do not have our FMP in place yet. And until the district does have the FMP in place, we cannot properly budget for the SB 9 money completely. And I think our FMP is going to be completed April.
What's an FNP?
Facilities master plan.
Okay.
So a lot of these things would come with our facilities master plan, and that would tell Alipio, myself, and Fred that this is what we have to budget for the next 5 years, given the money that we get from our SB 9, our local match PRTs. However, until we actually, again, we're kind of playing catch up on this. We have to have it in place before we actually can designate the money for it. That doesn't mean we don't have funds that we can allocate for any of these projects. Absolutely, Brandon, that is a possibility. And in fact, at this point, some of these items are already on those lists. Yes, ma'am.
Could we make a recommendation that we seek to see what's on this list, what can be paid for by SB 9 or some other money? And then maybe from at that point, and then get some rough estimates about what that looks like. So hypothetically, I just kind of round some numbers, and I don't know if these are correct, but if you look at the cost of 600 to 700 per square foot, right? If you say a mid-range of 650 times 104 square feet, that's approximately about, if I'm not mistaken, 67 million. Okay, I thought that number was extremely high when I just said it out loud. So 67.
$883 million.
So if we go at because he said on average it was 600 to 700. I went 650, and maybe that's too low.
That's magical thinking.
Yeah, it's too low.
Our gym that we just built was right at $350 a square foot, which they said was super stroking deal.
Yeah.
You know, plus it's, it's not much of a structure. I mean, it's a steel
Yeah, it's
structure, not a lot of interior stuff in it. So, it was a lot of money, and they gave us a good price, they said, but, they hassled with us for little stuff here and there because of the price that they gave it to us.
And the 104,000 is at a larger student enrollment. That's like the top student enrollment.
Right, that was my point.
Well, we're right sizing, so,
What would be
Nick, if I'm not mistaken, that's 104,000 square foot for about 1,100 kids?
I'm not sure the exact student count that went into that number. I know it has changed slightly the past 2 or 3 years since the state's been publishing the ranking.
So we probably will not be building as big of a middle school as we have now.
Exactly.
And that's something that can be explored during that planning and assessment phase as well, to right size and get the right building that you need.
One of the things that, and I'm sure David would agree with me, is I've watched projects planned 2 years ago, and they're 30% more cost today. And we're seeing that even go for plastics, roofing, close to 30%. Anything that we're thinking about and how we're prioritizing this, I strongly recommend that we look at, the build costs and how much are they going to rise really down. I look at some of the projects that the county and town have, and just their timeline of not getting it done has doubled the cost of construction, literally. And I'd hate to see us fall victim to that, not having that cognizant
It's
of that fact.
implementation I think you're looking for, Mr. Mapes. Yeah, it's very important. I think that's Vice President Spray, Superintendent, I think we all know declining enrollment. We have a declining enrollment. So obviously the middle school does not have to be the size it is. I mean, we really would be remiss to build a school that big unless we would be consolidating other school sites with the middle school. So
So one of the things I would recommend is that when we look at how large your middle school will be, you look at the enrollments of the lower grade levels in chunks of 3. And the way you do it is, the way I would see it is, the facility is going to take about 3 years to build. And I'm saying max, right? So what does the enrollment look like in 3 years, right? And then try to use a rate of either decline or steadiness to say, okay, it looks like the middle school will have approximately 350 students for these 3 years, 380 students for these 3 years, right? And so that way, do we, as a committee, start looking at, you set it for 400 in case, right? Or whatever,
Right.
but you look at it in chunks of 3s because the grade level at the middle school is 6 through 8. And you look at the lower grade levels, rate of decline or rate of increase, and that's the best approximation that we can do for right sizing a facility. That's been my experience before, but I'm gonna go with architects too. Is that something?
That's the logical approach. My understanding, since the PSCOC and the PSFA revised their process,
Mhm.
I'm a little unclear as to what happens during this planning and assessment phase, but I bet they've got a spreadsheet that runs you through that. How many kids do you have now? How many kids will you have in 3 years, 5 years? That's probably part of the planning and assessment phase. What's unclear to me is who does that work? Is it a design professional like an architect, or is it facility staff?
That's the part I'm not clear on, and I read through it a couple times, I'm not clear on it either. It's a whole new
I think
process.
it needs to be an actual architect.
Architect.
It's not going to be an
The way you
architect
read it.
with good
Design
design,
professional.
good ideas,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that are professionals on it. So, and I don't think that the PSFA is gonna say, okay, your maintenance guy, staff or people can design a building for us. I mean, we can give them an idea. We're gonna give them an idea where it's gonna be, or what we're thinking of it's gonna be, but then I think that phase needs to start stepping into a designer, architect, and a civil engineer to help us with the ground and water, sewer, and all that, making sure that where we put it is not gonna affect us more money in running sewer to it, water or electric to it.
So going back to the priority, that's what we have with, yeah, I know, to keep going back to it. Are we looking at least starting a project, or are we saying we're holding off until we find out
I think,
these other things?
I think that life safety, if we're not addressing life safety immediately, we're derelict.
I would
I have to
agree.
say
and
something
that's
too.
one of the
I'm
things
sorry.
that did come forward.
Fire panels
Fire
and
panels was
intercoms.
priority.
yeah, and I think we can all get a consensus, but.
Yes, so sorry, Mark's not here because I'm going to be unpopular with what I'm going to say. But he actually was part of how this is coming out. So we do, when you mentioned roofs, we have Enos mentioned here. There was a wink, wink kind of a deal that, or not deal, but a comment made to Taos Charter School, which is the only charter we have in our district. And there was I was privy to a conversation where Jeremy Jones, who just retired, he said 200,000 for the roof on the charter school. And there was a comment made. I'm just going to say there was a comment made that, don't worry, we'll take care of you, kind of a comment. So I noticed that that's not on this list. So I felt I should bring it up. I don't expect anyone to have to discuss it now or anything. I just wanted to, since I'm here, I thought I like to say the truth in meetings. So I'm saying the truth in a meeting.
That's good, and I think part of that follow-up truth is if there's any funds available from the priorities of the schools.
Right, but they're not on this list.
No.
Right, so because the priorities are the schools, and if there's funds available
Right,
left.
but they are in our district.
If the funds are available, but you also have to look at the possibility that
Right.
since they don't own their facility, can we actually give them bond money?
That's a different issue. I overheard a conversation where the comment was made, don't worry, we'll take care of
Yeah, I
you.
was there, so I remember
Yeah.
that piece.
So someone would have the idea that we might take care of them from that comment. So I just wanted to bring it up so everyone on the committee knew. And I'm sorry, Mark
I don't
isn't
think
here.
that School's gonna have enough money to even take care of some of the priorities that we have in our school right now, because what I'm looking at, stucco work, roofing work, I mean, the roof at Eno's early childhood right now is over $1 million just to fix that.
Okay, well, roofs are important to all buildings to keep them from falling apart. That's
Stucco
my
work
point.
in any of the schools.
Thank you.
Stucco, I mean,
Thank you.
most of our schools, so you're looking at $1.5 million to do any of our schools.
So Renetta, that was a good
Big
idea.
numbers, big thing, so.
Can we get an assessment on these priorities, as Renetta said? I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, let's kind of go back to,
Correct,
yeah, that's
Cost.
something,
a guesstimate.
is this, I guess the bond sale update, we're still on that, we haven't really moved. Nick, have you covered everything that you wanted to cover? So
Yes,
you-
sir. The main point is
Okay.
that you have $5.5 million available, and then we need to figure out how to prioritize it.
Okay.
So do we have?
Thank you, Nick. Sorry about that. We went off course. This is Vice
Yeah.
President Spray. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you.
Cool. So with that said, I said Associate Superintendent Mondragon, I think that's a good idea. What we can do is, I think it's a consensus that the fire panels is kind of front and center. And then maybe from there, Olympia and Fred can kind of give us a dollar amount. So next time we meet, we can have that delineated, and then we'll know. Hold tight, Mr. Mapes. So what I think we can make a vote. I think it's important. So what we're gonna do now is the fire panels, and does that include also the intercoms? Okay, so that's what we're gonna move forward with now this summer with those funds, and it's $1 million. We'll
It's a
get that.
million.
Yeah, so I think that's constructive.
Is that $1 million per site, or is that?
Is that total?
That's with the intercom.
Just the fire panel.
Okay, so we're just, and maybe regards to intercom, can you get a quote on that, Olympio? Is that possible as you're getting regards to the final panel, is that?
Those are, they're just, they would need to come. The rest of the schools just need air. They've got issues that address that. Arroyos would be the big.
Okay, why don't you get that bid, because intercom is crucial. Emergencies, I
Yeah.
think, it's
So
very,
it was $1 million for both fire panels or $1 million a piece?
So it'll be a little over $1 million for both.
That's Arroyos and high school.
so,
So Chair King, or what you're recommending here, or what you're saying is to start going out for RFPs or for?
Yeah.
For requests?
for in regards to fire panels and intercoms. And then if the maintenance staff, Olympia and Fred, if they can delineate the cost of these other items, and we can see in regards to dollar amounts. I know what comes to mind is restrooms we talked about with the bond committee last year, where we're going to different sites. And you guys know what is called the Nest next to the girls softball field. That's like a perfect storm. It's kind of scary to say the least. So I know the sheriff's department is moving, right? They're moving. So we really, that's something maybe to check with, in regards to Sheriff Jeantete, because that's scary. I mean, I've talked to parents and they're like, going to the softball field and you see stuff that no one should see.
How is that connected to the bond money?
Oh, we said restrooms, Vice President Spray, when we kind of did a site visit.
Restrooms at the field that's
Yeah.
next to the
Yeah,
nest?
so-
That's what you're talking about?
We
Okay.
were talking, there's not a facility for the girls and the boys has a porta potty. So we really want to, let's get that in place now this summer, while the weather is on our side.
So let me ask this, Chair King. So I kind of like to do a wraparound on this piece, now that we're reviewing the bond priorities. I think, so do we have to come to a consensus that fire panels and intercom is let's move forward with RFPs?
Yeah, do we want to, let's show of hands saying that that's the
And
number one priority. Yeah.
Alethea, do all of our schools, are they all okay except for those two?
The others need light work, but those two are.
Okay,
Some
thank you.
maintenance, he said
Thank you.
deferred maintenance.
Did you say that the one over $1 million was like a quote from a while back?
That was probably. Good.
So we got to be aware of that as well.
Saying this point. 1.4.
Okay, let's do an RFP. You obviously,
Yeah.
you're the superintendent. You can let us know. You got everyone's email. So I encourage everyone to read your emails on a daily basis.
And what we'll do is we'll get the process started and all that component. And then at the next committee meeting, we'll do the updates piece. So that way we're not trying to,
And, obviously, if you, what is it? It's the 11th today.
Mhm.
So Olympia, how long do you think?
procurement, you have to, I'm sorry.
A couple of weeks? Yeah, how long you think it'll take to get some numbers with RFP, some hard numbers, true numbers?
The RF firepower.
Yes.
I've actually got the RF ready.
Oh, great. Oh, awesome. That's great. That's great to
We
hear.
have to have it posted for what, 10 days at least, and then at minimum?
Yeah.
For the procurement component of it?
Because those are pretty complex systems, so we're gonna give them enough time. I'd say we're probably at least probably 60 days out from the time we release the RFP to the time we get everything back and open.
So the school starts August 6th. So are you able to do that? Say with staff being there, are they able to work and?
It's gonna be hard because these systems you have to run. So this work is gonna be taking place. The old system has to be operational until the new system's operating. We're gonna have two operating systems before they can take
The other one down, the old
Done
one.
it this summer.
Okay.
Probably very intrusive.
And a lot of times, the kind of work that can be done is done during off-school hours. So as soon as they go out, they start going into the classrooms quicker. I've seen those kind of projects go through where they'll start at whatever the end of the day starts. That's when their timeline starts.
It's like construction in, there's big cities on highways, they do it at night.
And one of the things I recommend, Chair King, is, the RFP process will go through, gets posted, and then the packets come into the finance department. But I would recommend that this is the committee that reviews the RFPs.
Yes.
That
And
way,
then-
once they come in, we set up a time, everybody reviews it. We will set up the rubric, so that way and that's exactly what this committee was meant to do. So I would recommend that piece.
And who's gonna do the due diligence on the contract?
Alethea and
That'll be the
Brad,
staff.
probably.
Project manager.
Do they have to go through RFP or can they go through CES? The process goes a lot faster if it doesn't have to go through ours. Directly to CES.
I think it's our duty because this is bond money and it's
Yeah.
community money.
CES, everybody knows CES is basically does their own RFPs through every contractor they hire. So they've already been through an RFP process. Rather than 60 days through CES, we could probably get it.
I would recommend we do the RFP process so that we just making sure that we are, we're good stewards of the community money on that piece.
I'm in total agreement with you on that. Renetta's like,
Okay, so I guess we need a motion So, I know I can make a motion, so
I'll make a motion to have the fire panels and intercom systems as the main priority. And then we'll keep it at that motion, and then if, after that, we can do a separate one. But I'll make a motion for the fire panels and intercom systems to be our main priority as the first part of the spending for the 5.5 million that we already authorized to use.
Second.
Okay.
You were gonna second. You can if you want to.
I'll have Mr. Mapes.
I
Yeah,
second.
Mhm.
that's Samantha, that's Larry Mapes. All in favor? Show of
Aye.
hand. Any,
Then now you're gonna make a
Not in
motion
favor?
for the RFP.
nay?
Was the RP?
That was part of
That's
that.
part of
It was part of it? Okay. I didn't hear you say
Okay,
that. in the
and then
motion.
our next item of business is, we can have staff, Olympio, the maintenance department, Fred and Olympio can actually go through and give us, a dollar amount, if you can delineate that. And I think the second one would be restroom for the boys baseball field and the girls softball field, so we can get away from the porta potties. I think that'd be, and then the rest you can make that delineation. So going back to the agenda,
Member King, may I make another motion now?
sure.
Go back to the RP. I want to motion that this is the committee that reviews all RFPs as it relates to any of the bond monies that we are potentially going to be spending.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
Got a motion and a second. You got one. Call for the vote.
All in favor? Shen, any nays? Okay, motion passed unanimously.
So, going back to roofs. What are the roofs that need the most work right now?
Early childhood probably would be their first priority out of all of them.
Is that Enos?
Yes. Everything else right now, and we're not, the next one would be the middle school, but we're not gonna spend too much more on middle school because we're looking at that new school, but that would be our second one, would probably be the middle school that would be needing something, that everything else is, our, has TPO on it, is in pretty decent shape.
What about the CPE? Okay, so I would make a motion that we get RFPs for the roofing right away and get that, in the pipeline before winter comes, because roofers are out very far. The roofing is something that we can probably okay. We can get through CES, they bring in several different contractors. Okay. To give us that. Yeah, and I'm part of CES in full disclosure. Give us a full, we can evaluate those. Yeah, I'd make a motion that we do that.
And I would actually like to caution the committee on making any more motions for approval of any spending until we get an opportunity with my team to actually get some price estimates. Because if we make a motion, it passes, and now we're obligated
Yeah,
to
we're
pay for
committed.
these roofings.
Yeah.
I could come back with you, with a $13 million price tag, given the amount of buildings we have in the district. And remember, it would be our opinion whether that roof was the priority or not. That's not a fair assessment to say Ranchos Elementary's roofing. I have 2 roofs at Ranchos Elementary right now on a portable. If I'm going to keep the portable, I have to replace an entire roof. An entire roof for a portable building could cost us in the millions as well. So I would just caution the committee to not have any further motions towards approval of spending or RFPs until we get a better estimate. Because I'm looking at this, ladies and gentlemen, these are all generalizations. These aren't even specifics.
Right.
These are.
That's what I was gonna ask, like, go back to, prioritizing safety, ADA compliance, but what is the ADA compliance? What are we looking at? It seems.
That could be a $2 million
project
project if
But
we're.
what are we looking?
Exactly, so I would recommend, that we actually get some quotes and more specifics on these for that 5.5 million. Before we actually, move forward with
So
it.
then if they're being
Yeah.
on that, it's not
correct.
just cost, but it's also yield back.
Yes.
And Fred,
Marcos,
That's
that,
basically,
Marcos, that was a really good suggestion. And also, with regard to the nest, just as a point of information, there are some ongoing meetings with the county about potentially moving that thing, that building and that use for that building, not the building, but the use for the building, and moving the nest people somewhere else in the county. So we don't necessarily need to talk about those bathrooms yet either till those, I'm part of, so is Marcos. We seem to agree on that topic pretty strongly.
And for point of clarification, since the nest was brought into our conversation, it's on an open meeting. Taos High School has not had any interactions since our last meeting that you and I went to, because not only ourselves, but the Sheriff's Department, we actually had meetings with the nest, Supervisor Trujillo and myself, Ms. Emmy. We actually formulated a team at Taos High School, and we went through a whole process, our MOU, our facilities agreement. Code. See, this was happening with people who aren't actually associated with the schools. These are
Right.
folks who are borrowing our stuff. The facilities use agreements were changed to where you can't show up. Your kids can't be out there lined up next to the nest for a long period of time. Coach has to be there 15 minutes early, open it up. You got to get folks through. We don't want to be infringing on their rights either. The nest did give us their schedules that people are gone by 6:30. So at 6:30 in the morning, there is no folks at the nest other than employees. Same thing at the night. They have a
Until
night.
what time?
That's the better question. Is the night one is a little weirder, but the day one. So board member King, or Chair King in this case, Taos High School and our staff has definitely already addressed it as best we could to this point. And I agree with you, now that the sheriff's office moves, it could be a little different. And with Vice President Spray, I really do hope that the county sees fit to completely move the nest away from our property.
Right now, we have a crisis coming in to do that whole fencing, security fencing with the blackout stuff. So that'll eliminate
A little more.
our kids from having to see some people doing whatever they're doing at that property.
Will that be done by the time school starts? Okay.
so to Chair King, to the point of, committing money for roofs and stuff like that, what I'm really asking for is how much is it gonna cost?
Correct.
And that's, I'm not saying, let's put it out to RFP, but let's figure out, let's get some numbers and see what.
And I think that's their next step.
Yeah, that's-
They're gonna bring back
that's
some.
what I shared with, Mapes, I shared with, the maintenance,
We'll dive deeper.
Yeah, we'll look at more detail, but great ideas, everyone, great sharing, great comments. I think this is a very fruitful, very robust. So, we're, sure.
Just clarification question. So we've gotten the okay to start the planning and assessment phase, right? They said it's gonna be $100,000.
That's their share,
That's their share.
correct. Let's, you know what, to help everybody.
That's our share.
Let's-
That's our share.
No, that's their share. So
Said our-
it's their share. So what I mean by that is, this is a good thing to remember. 63-37.
Yes,
We're 63%, they're 37. So I've seen the agenda. And so the 90, I think it's 93,000 that they approved is the 30% share that they have. And we have the other component of it.
So I guess my question is when does this start? Because the PSCOC has not told us that we have received the money, right?
Correct.
Okay.
They just barely voted upon it today.
Okay, so what is that process and when do we get started with that part of it?
The moment I get the word from PSCOC and Steve on that one, I'll share that.
So hopefully,
Sooner than later.
yeah,
That'd be nice.
superintendent.
Moving those
We
levies.
kind of got to know how much.
Right, before we even go there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
So that's kind of, that's gonna be tabled. So, seems item, 5.3, review our bond priorities. Only thing besides, our list here is housing for teacher, and, you guys don't know, the school district owns all of UNM Taos, all that land. We own 2 40-acre tracts.
Careful what you talk about.
No, that's housing for teacher. They need to know that.
Mhm.
It's on the agenda. See right here.
Right, but you can't talk.
Yeah.
ins and outs if you
But,
have UNM.
so
yeah.
we're just, we already have a committee. Marcos is on it. I said Dr. Martins is on it. Who else? Superintendent? I think President Flores, myself. So,
Director of Finance.
yeah, so we are, we're definitely, that's something that we can move a little in regards to nimble. Once we get a little bit more, we've got some discovery we're trying to figure out, because we want to be a good neighbor.
Putting it very mild.
Yeah.
Discovery, I mean.
Yeah. So, you know, we don't really have to put a cost, and we did cost already. We have some true numbers there. So,
Chair King, just for a point of clarification, so I can, because I'm reading off of the Exhibit A from the PASCOC today. And so, the state fiscal year 26 Phase 1 plan assessment that was approved today, the state share is $91,575, and the local match is $155,925, for a total of $247,500 for the planning and assessment phase. So,
Cool.
so that's.
repeat that again.
Sure.
It's 91.
It's $155,925 for the local phase, local match, and $91,575 for the state match, for a total of $247,500 for the planning and assessment phase of the middle school, because that's what was approved for, the middle school.
Is that the architectural planning?
That's the,
So,
No, I don't think so.
that's the planning and assessment.
but that's what
And
it
it's
is.
best,
Phase 3 is.
architectural plans are gonna cost you.
That's what I was
more
gonna
than
say.
$1 million.
Just so we're aware, it's up in the, getting close to the millions now.
Phase 2 for the,
The new SIDS building, architectural cost, of that's $500,000.
500,000.
so fiscal year 27, phase 2 by PSCOC is listed for design. And then phase 3, which is,
The construction.
the construction phase.
But really in phase 1, what they're saying is, are we going to modify or build new? And if we modify, what do we need to do? If we build new, what do we?
Problem.
Okay,
But I'll get in more information, Chair King, from the PSCOC,
sounds
on
good.
what- and Stiefel to see what they need.
So our local match again was 155,000,
The local match is $155,925.
925.
State is $91,575 for a total of $247,500.
So,
Yeah, that's what I have. Okay,
but
great.
Associate Superintendent, enlighten me to clarify this. So just so we're aware, she's right. PSCOC will actually walk us through this process anyway. So because they're our partner in this, so they give us $1, they get a say in everything, they become our partner. So they will actually walk us through the next phase anyway. So we'll have a detailed,
Now that they've approved it.
once it's approved. Yeah, well, now that they've approved it, we are close.
And there's someone, I say, will reach out to you, Superintendent?
Yes, in fact, the I know it's a lot of acronyms. PSFA was the last one that we met, and they were gonna be the ones that walk us through that.
Great, that's good to hear. Okay, upcoming meeting, our next meeting,
I think we had said at the first meeting,
well,
second Thursday.
in July, you guys are off for the first 2 weeks, right? So it looks like 7/16. And just for time purposes, I think we need to move it back. I know President Mark is Assistant Town Manager and he has a lot on his plate. So I'm thinking 4:30, guys.
I apologize. I'm going to interfere really quick, but NMSBA Leadership Retreat is starting that day.
I appreciate it, Samantha. So that's Thursday. So you're back when? When is the?
We
you
were
guys-
back by the 13th of July, so if we're
So
gonna keep with the Thursday, I would say the 23rd. Unless we do the 16th, but the 16th you said, Sam?
no, I'm thinking, guys, the 15th.
Meeting notes, it says on the first Thursday of every month.
Yeah, but
But
it's-
we're off,
yeah, we're already, we have our leadership conference here. I appreciate it, Samantha. So I'm thinking, if it's not a board meeting, Superintendent, you're gonna be back when?
13th.
You guys are back to 13th, so is everyone okay with the 15th of July? You guys can live with that at 4:30? And we'll try to, this is robust, so we'll do 7:15 at 4:30 p.m. our next meeting.
Okay.
Everyone in favor?
And Chair King, now that you're the chair, I'll send you the agenda.
So 7:15 and 4:30. Okay, I appreciate it, Samantha. Okay, all in favor to adjourn? Say aye. Okay, any nays? Appreciate it.